So again, welcome to the USTA Speaker Series. I'm your host, TJ Birkin. I'm the editor of Hoofbeats Magazine. And we're happy to have here with us the trainer and driver of the top-ranked horse in tomorrow's Little Brown Jug. And I believe our driver here has another drive in the Little Brown Jug as well, so we'll talk about that horse too. We'll figure all that out. How about that? So, first of all, we have the winningest driver here at the Delaware County Fair and Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Miller. Also with us today is a member of the Little Brown Jug Society, and that's why we started a little late, because she was in the meeting with them this morning. She's also the trainer of Betting Line, which is, he's North America Cup winner among many others, and the favorite for tomorrow's Little Brown Jug. You won the jug twice, right? Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome trainer Casie Coleman. And I think I've had the winning trainer of Little Brown Jug here as a guest on the Speaker Series for the past 7 years in a row. So I think it's a good thing that you're here and joining us. And just to warn you, I was a juror on a murder trial for the last 2 weeks. So if my questions get a little harsh or anything, it's because I had to deal with that courtroom situation for the last 9 days straight. But you're here because of Betting Line. So let's talk about the horse. Casie, tell us about how his season has been going so far and how he is coming into tomorrow's race.
Betting Line's season, I couldn't be any happier with it. Obviously, he only got beat once, his first life start, and using against aged horses. Every time I put the horse behind the gate, he just, I've had a lot of nice colts over my lifetime, and this one is just unbelievable, just his will and desire to win. There's been a couple times that I wasn't overly happy in where he was sitting in the race, but he just, he gets it done. Like, he's unbelievable, this colt, and he's got a wicked turn of speed and just his desire to win. Yeah, with horses, they got to be fast, yes, but they also got to want to do it, and Betting Line does not want to be beat.
All right, and the same question to you, David. Especially since when we talked to you at the North America Cup, you were pretty emotional after that race because of so many tries. Tell us about what it's like to drive the horse. How many times did you have to try to win the North America Cup before you got it done with Betting Line?
It was 16 times that I tried to win that race. I think I hold the record for most starts in it without winning. I was pretty happy that night that I finally got there. Even that night, he was probably about 8 off turn for home, and like she said, he can really brush. He's got a big brush to him, and he keeps chucking until he gets right to the wire.
He's and again, for those of you just joining us, we're here with David Miller and Casie Coleman. The way this sets up is these guys are here for you. So if you have any questions, raise your hand, and I'll come over with the microphone. And I do see you there. And you can ask these guys any questions, but we'll talk about Betting Line first of all, and get rolling there. David, you said this horse has a big rush. Do you think, does that also mean he's an off-the-pace horse, or is that something you can't really do here at Delaware?
Oh no, you can do that at Delaware. No, he can race. He's very versatile. He can race either way. He can. I've had him on the lead, or I've had him coming off cover. I mean, either way, he gives his good effort.
All right, so I do have questions on the floor, so here we go. We'll start asking questions.
David, we were at Northfield for the Milstein. I was wondering what happened at the top of the stretch, and how'd you get that horse back on right early?
Well, he just got to running in, and he got it maybe just a bit too crooked going in the last turn, and locked up on the hip hole, and kind of really just got fussy and made a break. I didn't really do anything. I was just trying to get him out of the way at the time, and he caught back pace, and then he did the rest.
So this isn't an issue with the smaller track that we might be running into tomorrow then?
I don't think so. Me and her, we hashed it over, and I think she has made some equipment changes on him. He was good at Poconos. His last start at Mohawk, he was running in a little bit late. So like I said, we talked it over and did make some changes, so hopefully that agrees with you.
Casie, can you tell us what you did to overcome this problem?
Yeah, like you were asking about the Northfield race, Dave did a hell of a job being able to get him back corrected after that happened, obviously going around the last turn, and to re-correct himself and then go off and win by 4 I went from feeling real good to feeling really, really bad to feeling really good in a short amount of time. But Dave did it, that was 100% my fault with being the trainer. It was nothing to do with Dave, and I should have had him rigged up a little bit different for the half. It was his first time on a half. I'm glad we did it now because we got that, hopefully have that problem rectified for here tomorrow. What we did is we added a jawbreaker onto the horse, so that's going to give Dave, anybody doesn't know what a jawbreaker is, it's like a steering bar that it's out a couple inches, and it's going to give Dave more leverage to be able to steer him around that turn a little better. I brought his hobbles in a little bit just to help him a little bit too, give him a little more support there, and just corrected a few issues there, and everything seems good now. He trained absolutely perfect. He wasn't on the line at all. He's feeling great, seems sharp and sound and healthy. I don't see 2 heats being a problem for this horse. He always recovers very, very quickly, so I don't see that being an issue, but yes, he needs to steer better, and I believe he will be.
Casie, you've raced here for years and years. When you're bringing a horse onto this track, is there anything that you do for each horse that you have to do equipment-wise in order for them to be able to handle this track, or is it kind of the same thing as when you're racing on a big track?
Well, Delaware, it's pretty much the best half-mile track you're going to find anywhere. Very big bank turns, nice surface. It's the best half by far, I believe. I do find that I can't race in aluminum shoes here. I don't know what it is, which for betting line, he always races in steel shoes anyway, so it's not a difference to what he normally wears. I had Vegas Vacation when he won, and I actually had to change his shoes. In the elimination, he was horrible. I know he won, but he was not good gated. Brian did a really good job getting the win in the first elim, and we had to change his shoes, which I didn't like doing that, putting nails in his feet an hour before he's going to race again, but we had to do what we had to do, and he was good. So that's the only thing I'd say I find here. It's kind of like the Lexington track, the clay surface, and I find that the aluminum shoes, they just stick too much to the track, so you need steel.
Okay, do we have a question over here still?
Same question to have. The same question.
It's already been asked, okay. Any other questions here in the audience, or we'll just keep going? All right. Come on in, folks. Thanks for joining us. We're here with David Miller and Casie Coleman, the Connections of Betting Line, who's in the Little Brown Jug tomorrow. We have a question over here by the gentleman in a very bright orange shirt.
This is directed at Casie. I went over early this morning to see him, and he was like I expected he would be. I know you never to my knowledge have ever fought a bad individual. You're probably as tough a shopper as there is, and that's a good thing. What particularly led you to this horse?
Well, betting line is a funny story. I go out to all the farms and look over all the yearlings usually before I go to the sales, and I was having a bad year that year. I wasn't finding anything. I was at a bunch of different farms, and I just wasn't happy with what I was seeing for finding ones I want to bid on, because I am quite picky. I don't buy that many yearlings, and so I got to be picky. Anyways, when I saw betting line, he's got a great big ass end on him, great big shoulder, perfect conformation, perfect body. He's pitch black. There was nothing to not like about him, and just something about the look at him. Like, he's one of those horses, same as I said with Sports Writer, the look in his eye when I seen him, just he had that killer instinct. So I asked the farm to turn him out in the field for me when he's a baby. It's about a month before the sale, and usually they sometimes got to chase them around with little shaking cans and stuff like that to make them do their thing, and you want their attitude to be good. Betting line, they took him out. He was right on the pace, up and down the fence line. Like, the stride on him was just insane. Couldn't hear him touching the ground. Very light on his feet, and my jaw just dropped. And while he was still turned out, I texted my owners and I said, I just found a colt that we have to have, and I'm usually kind of cheap when I buy horses. I don't like going over about 50, 60,000. We ended up getting him for 60, but I told my owners, like, this horse is coming home. Like, I don't care what it takes, but he's a freak, I think, and so far he's doing his job.
Well, to add to that, when it comes time to buying yearlings, you're doing it during the middle of the racing season too. So how do you balance training a stable while then trying to find the next crop to buy at the yearling sales?
I'm very lucky. I've always had a great staff. I've always had really good people behind me, so while I'm on the roads, I know everything's getting done the way it should be, and I've got a lot less horses now than I used to have. I did the same thing when I had 130 horses. Now I'm down to 12. but it's a lot easier now with less horses, but you got to have a great staff behind you because I'm on the road a lot right now. I actually won't be home for about 3 weeks. I'm going right from here to Lexington to look over yearlings, and then I'll stay for the Lexington sale and a few Lexington races, and I'll come home for about a week, and then I'm gone again to Jersey to start looking over their babies. So it's a lot of travel time, a lot of hotel time. We get lucky with farms like Hanover Shoe, Blue Chip. Some of them, they send private planes for us. They fly us out and fly us back home on the same day, and that makes our job a whole lot easier to look over the horses and be able to still come home and manage your stable. But it's, yeah, this next month and a half is going to be a lot of hours.
So it sounds like you're looking at, you and your staff are looking at all these babies in person. Do you ever make decisions from watching any videos of the yearlings?
Yeah, I watch every video when I'm buying a horse, but I'm one that I look at the individual first. I get the book, I go through the book, I basically just mark down all the pacers. I look at every pacer. This year I am looking at a few trotters, we're trying something new. But I look at every single pacer pretty much, and I refuse to look at the book page before I look at a horse. I look over the horse, have my thoughts in my mind, open up the page, I write down my notes, and then I look into the breeding, and then I decide if I want to turn the horse out and watch the video. But I've found in the past, you get, say I've got whatever, say it's better than Cheddar, Sports Raider's brother, I want to like the horse, I want that horse, so I'm kind of letting it get away with some faults if it has faults while I'm looking at it. And vice versa, if I've had a brother or sister that I don't like, I'm looking at it and maybe it's a good looking horse, but I'm like, I really don't want it in the back of my head, so I'm just kind of crossing it off. So that's how I do it anyways. I look it over, I have no idea what the sire, mother, anything is when I'm done looking the horse over, write my notes down, decide if I'm going to go forward. By the time I've bought a horse, I bet you I've looked at it at least 10 times by the time I've actually bought one.
Casie, I forgot the most important thing. Congratulations on being Mrs. Mark Hurley.
Thank you.
Casie, when you're looking at yearlings in the field, what specifically are you looking for, or what is it that you don't want to see?
There's a whole lot of things. Like, I've had horses that I've loved them on the floor. Like, I'm absolutely in love with the horse. I'm in love with his page, his pedigree, everything. I turn them out in the field. First off, if they won't go. Some of them just simply don't want to do their job. They got their ears pinned and they don't want to go. Well, that's not a good sign if they already don't want to go that early before you start hooking them up. So that's an automatic write-off for me. You don't want them landing heavy. You can usually hear them. You want them light on their feet. Some horses, you'll hear them really pounding the ground hard, and that's going to make them lame, obviously, and cause issues down the road. I want them happy, ears forward, doing their job, going up and down the fence line, landing light. You don't want them winging in or paddling out. You'll see if they're winging in, they're going to hit themselves. If they're paddling out, they're going to slow down. It's there's a lot of different things that you see, but it's let's say you definitely it's hard to find a perfect one, but every once in a while. The only two that I'd say was ever perfect that I've found, and they both end up being real good, is Betting Line. I thought he was absolutely perfect. I could not fault the horse, and Sports Raider. I could not fault the horse.
Is there anything different between a pacer and a trotter?
Oh, a ton different, but saying that, I really am the worst person to ask about a trotter. I don't know much about them, I haven't trained many of them. I'm going to try a couple this year, but I really don't know a whole lot about the trotters. But I wouldn't say it's a lot different for the field. Same things, you want good attitudes, not landing hard, and not going to hit themselves.
David, just a question. When you're down to drive multiple horses, what process do you go through to make your selection when to drive?
Well, there's a lot of different things that you kind of factor into it. You know, if it's a horse, let's say a stake race or something like that, one that you've been racing, you know, that you've committed to, you kind of stick with him. But if it's just an overnight race, usually I just try to pick the horse that's got the most money and the most consistent, and you know, obviously probably the best post, but. You know, it's a lot of different things, you know. Sometimes the trainer, you know, it all kind of factors in.
All right, still taking questions from the floor here. David, we talked a lot about yearlings and looking at yearlings. We know you're not just a driver. We know you go south and train horses in the winter. Do you go shopping for yearlings too?
Oh yeah, sure do.
Well, tell us what you look for too.
You know, I try to go pedigree, you know, and you know, it's kind of, it's tough, you know, because usually the better pedigree, the more they're going to cost, you know, so you kind of got to shop around quite a bit and see ones that you know, that I can afford basically, and get them in my price range, you know, and it's nice to have one that is, you know, correct standing. I don't go to the farms and have them turn them out. I just kind of basically watch their films and you know, look at them in person. And if they stand good enough and bred good enough, I'll take a shot at them.
Yes, sir. Right here.
So the question is for Dave. Dave, every industry looks for safety in terms of improvement. You know what the next step or level is in this industry. What would it be to you?
Well, right offhand, I don't have anything, you know, removing the hub rails, wearing the safety vest, you know, for right now, I think that's probably pretty good, you know. The vets doing their job, making sure the horses aren't lame on the track, you know, is a big help, and, you know, I think it's pretty safe, really.
All right, all the way over here.
A little different subject, Casie. You got a good 2-year-old ideal wheel. How good can that one be? And is it a possibility for him to race here next year?
Yeah, ideal wheel. I definitely am hoping to have him here for next year's Little Brown Jug, no doubt. He can absolutely fly right from day one. He was a really nice colt, great attitude, great gait. Now his problem is we've had a little bit of a problem with his rigging. He was getting really hot there, as I'm sure you guys see. He went some crazy. He was hot for the first time in the elimination of the Metro, and Dave just couldn't hold him. He raced great, but he just couldn't quite cut his speed down. Still finished second, got in the final, but we got unfortunate, drew the 8-hole in the final. Raced good in the final, but I put too much rigging on him. He was kind of too quiet. He finished third, so I can't be disappointed, but he should have been a little better, and I thought with the equipment changes I made I dulled him too much, so I decided to take the mini bit off of him, and it was a bad idea. He got very hot, obviously, and went way too quick. Dave said even though he still won, he did choke him. Dave said he heard him halfway down the lane, and he did choke him, but he still won. But he has a break now to the Breeders' Crown, which I'm very fortunate for, and I'm working with the horse to calm him down, and we'll be going to the Breeders' Crown and then hopefully to the Governor's Cup, shut him down and get him ready as a 3-year-old. But I'm very high on that colt. I think he has a lot of talent and a big future.
Well, Dave, to follow up on that, when you come off the track with a horse and you think something can be improved or be changed, how do you tell the trainer that, and what is the response you usually get?
Well, most of them will listen, you know. Yeah, I try to explain to them, you know, exactly what happened, you know, if I'm having a problem with steering or not being able to control them, or if the horse is, you know, backgated, or, you know, I definitely give my advice, and I'd say probably a lot of them listen, you know, and, you know, I've had a lot of luck, you know, especially certain trainers, Casie, you know, working with them, and they work with me, and, you know, you have a good connection there, you know, I guess, but yeah, I definitely, if I see something I can, you know, that I think would help, I definitely speak up.
And Casie, for you, what qualities do you see in David Miller that make him your driver for this great colt?
Well, I'll say right from the get-go, when I first started using Dave, I went to the Meadowlands with American Ideal, and nobody knew who I was or who American Ideal was, and I was bringing Mark McDonald with me to drive him for a while, and anyways, Dave, here he is, Dave Miller, and he's talking to me like I'm every normal person. He right away, he's like, hey, how are you? Good luck with your colt, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy, whereas some of the other guys, like, before they get to know you, they're maybe not quite as friendly at first till you get to know them. Anyways, I started claiming some horses, and I'm like, who am I going to use for a driver? And I said, well, this is Dave Miller. He's winning everything, and he's a really nice guy, so I started listing them. And right from the get-go with the claimers at the Meadowlands, we built our stable up from 1, 2, 3 to probably about 40 horses racing at the Meadowlands. And Dave was pretty much driving the majority of them, and we just had really good luck together. And let's say, me and Dave communicate a lot, like when we're having some steering issues, I'll text him, he'll text me right back and tell me what he thinks, and you got to be able to work together and agree on a solution. I'm the one training him and got to make the changes, and he's the one that's got to sit behind him and get the job done on the track. So you got to get along and have a good relationship. And just over the years too, even Dave's wife, Misty, I remember I was in Jersey, and it was during Canadian Thanksgiving. I had some Canadian staff down there, and told her it was American Thanksgiving. She made Thanksgiving dinner at her house and invited me and my Canadians over, and people just don't do that nowadays, and they do, so they're just good people.
All right, taking questions here. This is the USTA Speaker Series, and David Miller and Casie Coleman are here to take any questions that you might have. Anybody? Oh, I'm sorry. I looked right at you.
I really don't have a question. I just have a compliment because I've been watching Casie for at least 15 years and I've really enjoyed seeing the horses that you've brought to the tracks. So congratulations on getting married, everything.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I did have a question for you, Dave. I mean, you've been traveling, driving all over the country for years and years and years. What motivates you to get up in the morning and travel all these miles and drive at all these racetracks year after year after year?
Well, I still like doing what I do, you know, and try to be the best, and you know, try to do the best I can, and be every place you know I can to do the best. You know, it's lucky when you pick up some good horses. It's not hard to do to get up to go follow them. So it keeps me motivated. Still, just trying to do my best.
Thank you for that. And Casie, pretty much the same question to you. You said you had gotten to 130 horses at one point, but now you're down to 12. What precipitated that change?
Yeah, I was up to 130, and when it first started, I decided to start going to Florida and travel for the winter. So when I did that, I knew I had to make the racehorse stable smaller and go with babies more. And just each year I got less and less and less, and it was just getting to be too much. I got fortunate, I had some nice horses, and I just decided I want to stick with stake horses. So I pretty much just keep 2- and 3-year-olds now. If they're good enough to be open horses, then I'll keep them as they're older, but if not, they go to the Harrisburg sale in November, and we buy fresh babies and sell the other ones and move along. I don't train anything in the winter no more. I just take my babies to Florida, train back my 3-year-olds, and anything will be sold. If there's a couple other open horses, a kid that worked under me for a long time, Andrew Harris, he's a really, really good kid, and he's on his own now. I believe he's got about, I don't know, 30 horses or something, and I'll just send them to him. He trains them, and I'm just an owner for him, and that's what I do now. It's keeping me happier, more sane, less owners to talk to, less staff to deal with, and it's still working. We're still putting some big numbers on the track and keeping the barn rolling, so I'm much happier this way.
Yes, right here.
This is for Dave. Yesterday I seen you in the winter circle with a young and up-and-coming driver that's been around for a while. Pretty proud of her yesterday, weren't you?
Oh, very, very, very proud of her. She does a great job and done a great job, and I was pretty excited, pretty happy for her there.
The Purple Princess looked real good.
Yes, she did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
For those of you without the inside information, he's talking about his daughter. Never know. Casie, back to the training. When we visited you in Florida over the winter, you told us that it could take upwards of 2 hours to put a horse away after you're done jogging or training the horse. When you reduced the size of your stable, did the fewer horses get more care, or did it pretty much stay the same after that?
Well, the actual putting them away part, not quite 2 hours, like about an hour or so, but if you do it properly, like I like it done, like basically my grooms, I don't like them to have over 4 horses. At the most we'll have 5. I don't like them to have over 4, and I'd almost prefer 3. But it's a lot of work. These guys start at between 5 to 6 in the morning, and they're there anywhere, probably at the earliest 1:30 to the latest being almost dinner time, depending on how hard of a training day we had. My horses, every one of them's got to be turned out in the morning before anything gets done. They must be turned out in the field, loosen them up, make them happy, come back in, let them relax, and have a little bit of a break. They go out and jog. They get a soap bath every single day after they're done jogging or training. Then they cool out again, have their hay, cool out with coolers on. I usually put ice wraps on a lot of them when they're done jogging or training. And then the groom's got to put them away, and that consists of putting them in a foot tub for usually 15-20 minutes, 4 wraps on every leg, brushing them, rubbing them down. And when they're all done, everything like that, I now want them walked in grass. They now take them out, they got to hand walk in grass them, play with them, get their attitudes good. And it's a long process, and I want it done right. Yes, it's easier with a lower amount of horses to get it done right, but saying that, even when I had a big stable, I definitely am hard on my help because I ask a lot out of them, but it gets rewarded in the end, and they get paid well, and they get bonuses of their horses when they do well. So it's a lot of work, but it pays off in the end.
Yeah, you're also known for taking very good care of your grooms. Can you tell us what you do for them that's above and beyond what other trainers probably do?
Well, a lot of people, I'm sure, take good care of their staff, but just one of the biggest incentives is they do get a percentage that's paid out at Christmas time when these colts are done racing. So some of them that have like the good colts, they're going to get a pretty nice check at the end of the season. So I pay them well, and you got to keep make sure they get bonuses, incentives, win tips. Every time they win, they get an extra win tip. Just things like take them for dinner, buy them lunch. All of them got all kinds of shirts and T-shirts and hats and whatever they want of my clothing, and let's say just whatever you can do to keep them happy. And I'm friends with all of them, let alone just employees. So just keeping them happy is a big thing, because then they'll keep your horses happy and work harder for you.
Hey, there we go. We got a bunch of questions. Start right here in the front.
You say you take time to cool them out. Do you walk them, or do you cool them out to stand in the stall with the coolers?
After jogging, they just go back in their stall, but after training, they walk out. After training racing, then they walk them. And you got to water them out. You got to be careful that you don't just give them a bucket of water and they dunk into it right away. But yeah, they got to walk them and cool them out and water them out.
That does my heart good to hear you say that, because pretty much everybody I see nowadays, they don't walk them. They don't, I mean, I started in the 70s, we counted every swallow that the horse took before, you know, you got, say, 8 swallows and you walked a little bit, and then they got 8 more.
Yeah, that's exactly pretty much what we do. We walk them out, and it is about 8 swallows. And then
So you're old school, I like that. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you both for being here. I'd like to ask David, are you drivers as excited driving this crop of old age or age pacers as we are watching them? Is that exciting for you as it is for us?
The H Pacers?
Yes.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I get a thrill, and it amazes me how they race and how tough they race. And yes, for me, it's a big thrill still to watch them. Even though I wasn't inside with it last week, I was glued to the TV watching them race. You know, to me, it's amazing how they perform and how much they can go. It's mind-boggling.
David, my question's for you again. Last year you took the winter off, you didn't drive, you went to Florida, you smelled the roses a little. I think it was a very wise move, but I'm not you, and I think maybe more drivers should do it. You plan to do it again this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're going to head back. I raced right up to about the middle of December, and then we have the holidays, then we head down, and it definitely was a big break that I felt I needed, and I think I come back, you know, pretty good, you know, and was able to take on the season again. You know, it gets hectic, you know, halfway through the summer. You know, you're running everywhere, and you know, nowadays I get a little tired, you know. So yeah, it was a big break. It was a nice break.
Casie, in our last session, we were talking about Captain Treacherous, and they said that he didn't come to the jug that year because Lexington was so close to this race and the Breeders' Crown after that. But you continue to come with your colts year after year. What brings you back to the jug with your top colts every year?
I love the jug. Like I've said before, ever since I was a kid, just watching this race on TV from BC has just always been one of my favorite races. And now that I'd be fortunate enough to have a horse to race in it, it's just a dream come true for me. But I understand what they're saying. Like, yeah, this is a tough schedule for these colts. Betting Line, for instance, I missed the Meadowlands Pace. I missed like a couple other big races, and I just am trying to manage them the best I can, knowing I want him to race through right till November. And Betting Line is not paid into Lexington. He definitely won't be there the first week, but I'm leaning towards supplementing him, which will cost us $60,000 if we do. But the second week he can supplement and pay $60,000. And we're going to see how this race goes and make a decision with how he comes out of the race. But he's got a hard schedule. He's got the Super Finals in Mohawk, which goes for $250,000. Then right on to the Breeders' Crown, and after the Breeders' Crown, he's got some races over at Dover. He's got a few races there, and it's a big schedule with a lot of money on the line. And it's hard to say no to any big money purses, but if we race every dance, we're going to break them down, make them tired, hurt them. We won't keep going until November. So just trying to manage them, and that was their decision to manage them, miss this race, and go on to Lexington. And maybe if I was paid in Lexington, I know I'd still come to the job, but I don't blame them for what they want to do.
And you had won the jug with Vegas Vacation, and then we didn't really see much of him after that. That didn't factor into your decision with future horses, that he didn't race after that?
Vegas did go on from here to Lexington. He raced good in Lexington. He actually, I thought we were going to beat the captain finally. He actually finished second in 47, and he gave captain a real good run while he was there, and raced great. But yeah, Vegas did end up hurting himself. I'm still trying to train him back now. Actually, he's a gelding. He has a tendon issue, and he's training back right now. We're trying to bring him back, but if he doesn't make it, then he'll find a good home and be retired. But it definitely can take a toll on some horses, but saying that, then look at Wiggle It Jiglet. He's been just a creature this year, so I've never seen a horse bounce back like that out of any race.
Yeah, so you said earlier that you really only train 2- and 3-year-olds, but you do have Vegas Vacation, and now that Reverend Hanover's retired earlier this year, is Vegas Vacation pretty much the only older horse that you're training?
No, I got a horse that races in my Yonkers, New Jersey stable named Luke in Hanover. He races in the top ranks, and that's why I keep him. He makes good money and helps me make my state payments throughout the winter. I'll train him up until, I've been training him all summer, and up until I'm going to leave to go back to Florida. Luke will keep racing in the winter. He'll go to Andrew Harris. He'll take over training duties on him, and I'll just be an owner and hope he keeps making me money.
All right, yeah, you gotta have some horses paying the bills in that long winter time. Again, we're here with David Miller and Casie Coleman, taking questions from the audience about betting line or Little Brown Jug or anything in particular. Like I said before, Casie, you are on the Little Brown Jug Society board, and what are the duties involved there? What decisions are you guys making in those kind of meetings?
Well, really, we just meet up once a year. I just got put on the board last year, and it's an honor to be as young as I am and put on that board. It was quite an honor to be accepted and asked to come join that. And we went over a bunch of things today that I think will be very good in the outcome of the jug. But saying that, they're still doing a few meetings, so I'm not really supposed to talk about much of it yet. But I'm sure in the next little bit it'll be put out on the internet. But they're just we're trying to make the race as good as we can for the safety of the horses and the fans, making sure the fans keep coming and get the entries up. Obviously our entries are down on the jug and the jugette, so they're trying to come up with ways to get the entries up, get the fans here watching them, and keeping the safety of the horses in your minds also. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to come up with to make the race better for the future.
All right, fantastic. We do have a question here.
How do you personally feel about heat racing?
Oh, well, obviously, I love the jug, but I believe it's the only heat race left, except for in Lexington. I believe Trotters has a couple of heat races that they go. Obviously, with the heats, it's going to be 90 degrees, and they go fast speeds now. They don't go quite the speeds they used to in the old days, and yes, it's hard on them, no doubt. You got to, as a trainer, you got to make sure they're very fit, they're conditioned very properly, they're very hydrated. You got to make sure you keep on top of all that stuff. Horses that are in the Lasix program, and there's a few in the jug tomorrow, I'm not sure about the jug yet, are on Lasix program, and in my mind, I wouldn't think that's a real good idea because they are going to dehydrate, but they need it. So heat racing, yes, it's tough on them, but saying that, we also need to get fans watching our races and betting on our races, and the fans love it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so let's say it's a catch-22. We got to keep the fans coming and get them excited, but we got to make sure we're not hurting our horses also. So it's a tough decision to make with how I like heat racing. But saying that, I'll never not come to the jug because it's heat racing.
Jumping to another question. I know most barns now have riders. Grooms don't jog anymore. Is that true at your barn?
Well, my grooms are all good enough that they're fine if they need a jog, but no, I have second trainers, and then I've got second trainers and grooms, so basically the grooms stay in the barn and do everything with their horse, harness them, bath them, put them away. The second trainers do all the riding and training, get the rigs ready for shipping, make sure the race bikes are in good shape and all that kind of stuff. But saying that, all my grooms, if they need to go jog, I have no problem. They want to go out and jog their horse. But I mark down what trainers are going with what horse and what speeds they're going and all that, and they all listen to me and get the job done. Some barns do it different though, but that's how I do it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's fantastic questions there. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with Roger Houston, Sam McKee, and Dave Van Coney. They're going to handicap the Little Brown Jug card. But until then, thank you so much, David Miller and Casie Coleman.